So you always should work on your mind. Your mind has the most ideas. And even if you're sitting in Peru and having margaritas, because of your mind, you should be able to earn money. Hi, my name is Devyani. I am 23. I'm doing my master's in international marketing at King's College London. And I am doing my master's degree. So,
where's your hometown?
I'm from Pune, India. So it's like a small city back there.
Could you remind us of the course you're currently studying?
I'm studying international Masters of Science in International Marketing.
Why did you choose your course?
So back in 2015, I went to Mexico on an exchange program. I was there for a year. And then I was really exposed to people from different countries there. And I realized that all the products they talked about, all about the messages, about the marketing messages were really different than things back home. So I got really curious about it. And I knew that I wanted to do my master's in marketing, and which is international. So this course.
So you is your course 1 year or 2 years?
It's just 1 year. It's just a 1 year.
So you're now 6 months about into your course.
I would say 3 because I started in September, so 3-4 months.
Okay, 3 months into your course. What have you thought of your course so far?
I mean, because this is just like a 1 year's master's, it's super hectic. So I felt like, oh my God, I've never read so much before, and it's not so technical back home, but here I think it's really hectic.
Okay. Did you, if we talk about the university, what are the best and worst things about studying at your university, starting off with the worst?
Starting off with the worst, I think nothing specifically. I think everything has been pretty smooth, but I think while applying to King's, the biggest problem I faced was the replies were really slow. So if you have any issue, you have to at least wait for like a month to just get like a basic response. And that I faced a lot of issues because of that for my visa, because they did not respond, and I had some documents back and forth, and then had to change my flight to 9 days later. And that was a big issue for me. So if it worked out faster. So that was the biggest worst thing. I think the best thing about King's is the resources they have. As students, we really have access to a lot of professional softwares like Statista, there is Euromonitor, a lot of academic journals, which really give you like exposure to the industry as well, and a lot of information. And I really like that.
Okay. If we go into the accommodation, where are you living while at King's College, London?
So I'm living in the University of London accommodation, which is in Stratford. I did not go for the King's accommodation because that was a bit more expensive and smaller rooms. So I stay in this accommodation.
What do you think of it? Is it nice? Is it far from uni? If a student was curious about staying there, what would you tell them?
I think it's pretty manageable, because before I came, I was really wondering how the travel time is going to be like. But because of the tubes, everything is really well connected. So I feel like living a bit far from central London, it's a bit more cheaper. So you're literally going to save up a lot more. And in terms of the accommodation, because it was like it was a very new building. It started in 2019 or 2020. And I think we are the second batch living here. So everything is very new. And I think I really like it. A lot of Indians around me. So a lot of community kind of feels, so which is good.
Okay. If we now go into the London area where you said Stratford, what is it like to live in Stratford?
Stratford is good. It's homely. I mean, we have the Westfield Mall near us, which is really good. So
for students who don't know what Westfield Mall is, could you tell them?
So Westfield Mall is one of the biggest malls in London, I guess. I think in Europe, that's what I read online. It's like a really big mall, which has a lot of activities, a lot of shopping, of course, groceries and everything. So you have like Sainsbury and everything just there, like literally a walk away. And because it's so convenient, I think you can spend a lot of time there, you don't miss out on any sales. But otherwise, to do other things in Stratford, there's nothing much. So to have like a nice social life, to have like a nice restaurant, we usually go to central London. But just for the everyday living, I think it's fine.
You chose studying in the UK versus in India. Well, I'm guessing you've done your undergrad in India.
That's right.
And then you came in and done your master's in the UK. Is there a reason you decided to come to the UK to do your master's?
I think back in India, it was only from the Indian perspective, but I really wanted a global approach because the world is changing and globalization and all of that. Because after like living in Mexico, I realized that I like living abroad on my own and to explore another culture in that sense. So staying back home was not an option, and I think London was one of my dream cities since childhood. So here I am.
What is it like to study in the UK?
Compared to India, so how it was in India, like you have your material, you have your books, you study, and very last minute, I think you can pass. I think it's fine. But here it is like a continuous evaluation and it's much more in depth. So what I've realized here is whatever you say, it has to be quoted, you know. In India, you just write it and it's done. But here you have to like reference it, give it like proper citations, which is much more professional in my sense. I think back home it was much more like you had the freedom to do whatever you want without like questioning anything. So I think that's the biggest difference I saw in this.
What surprised you about studying in the UK?
What surprised me? Um, I mean, honestly, before I came, I did a lot of research in that sense. So it was not much of a surprise. Like I knew the curriculum, how it's gonna look like. I only wish because of COVID, a lot of learning was at home more than the tutorials. You know, I had to do a lot of self learning. So like back in India, it's usually like a teacher comes, she teaches the class, and then you make your notes. But here it's a lot of self learning. So that was a bit difficult to cope up with, I feel.
What general advice would you give to students wanting to study in the UK?
So on my YouTube channel, like after I get a lot of comments of should I do management or marketing? I don't know why this is a very popular question back home, but I feel like before like the best advice is you need to be passionate about your course. There should not be like a reason that anybody else has to explain to you why that course might be good or not. Like, you know, you do your research. If you're only passionate about it, if you love that subject, only then you can survive this. Otherwise, like if you're doing something for the sake of it, don't even think about it. I think having passion is really important. So that's the advice I would give.
What advice would you give to international students wanting to study your course at university?
Um, I think for me, if studying at King's, you would have want to have a more international level of exposure. If you want to learn only marketing, then maybe not the right university. It's not strategic marketing again, which Imperial or Warwick has, which is more technical. This is more of like an overview of the international perspective. Another thing I would very important to study at King's is a research-based university. So if you are thinking of marketing in terms being like, oh, it being creative, I'm going to make social media campaigns, I'm going to do designing, that's definitely not that. It's very theoretical. You whatever you study, it has to be backed up by psychological, theories and things like that. So it's not as fun and games. So if you're very serious about that, only then go for this course. That's what I would say.
And you briefly mentioned it. What advice would you give to students wanting to study at your university?
Yeah, that's what, especially talking about King's. It's a very research-based
Just
university. So that's what I would say. So it's if you want to go for the practical approach, don't go for that. So that is how it is. More or less.
okay, that's all right. What I already asked that question. What is the biggest shock coming to the UK as an international student?
Biggest shock. I think how expensive the tube is. Like literally, like I again give you a perspective. Like for the entire month, I used to pay like 20p for the transport there for the monthly pass, and here it's like 40 pounds or something like that. It's crazy. I think the level of expensive things, that's the biggest shock for me.
Hey, if we go now to the best and worst things about studying in the UK, starting off with the worst.
The worst thing about studying in UK is because it's, I think again the same thing, like because the 1 year course, you don't have time to socialize. You don't have, like, do you just have 1 year to like study, find a job, do part-time, earn, make friendships? Like it's so hectic, like you don't know how to balance everything. And I think that's the worst thing. But the best thing in the UK is I think the opportunities and the level of cosmopolitan crowd. So I've met and study with people from different countries. So which gives me like a really different perspective on life. And that is, I think, amazing.
And the worst?
The worst is this. That's
and the best. Yeah. The best.
The best is this, having a really cosmopolitan crowd and just being with international people, having different perspectives and ideas of how we are living life, how we're thinking about, like everybody approaches an idea in a very different way, coming from their own culture, which is really interesting to me. And I think that's the best part.
If we had to put England and the UK next to each other, what is one thing that India beats the UK at every single time?
Oh my God. I think just homeliness, I feel, because back home, everybody, like India is a very populated country. So a lot of people, like I think in one class, you have like about 150 to 200 people. So you're always surrounded by people. I think that is where India kind of wins, because you make many more friends. You have like a more better social life there.
And what's one thing the UK always beats India at?
I think a lot of factors. I feel like I think the professionals or the teachers are much more highly qualified here than back in India. I'm not talking about the big universities, but I think overall in universities, like for example Mumbai University and things like that, I think King's has much more credited or better professors.
So students have been curious about students' personal development when going through university. So as you said, you've done your undergrad in India and now you come to the UK. Do you think you've changed and or developed either mentally, physically, spiritually, or since coming to the UK and studying?
Oh, 100%. To live on your own and to decide and figure out, because back in India, your parents are the ones who are telling you what to do and what not to do. But coming here, you have to make your own decisions and you really understand what you want and who you are as a person. Like back in India, I did not know, like 3 months ago, I did not know how to make tea. But now I'm making like proper elaborate dishes. I've learned to cook. I know how to keep my room clean. If you see my wall behind me, I have expressed myself in different ways, which I did not do back then. So I think that's a lot of learning.
And what did you do to handle your mental health? Because as you said, it was hard. You're a bit hectic. Everything's a bit now and here, and you're trying to make friends while study, while work. So how has it affected you mentally? And how have you dealt with it?
So I did one thing when I was back in India. When I was looking for accommodation, I decided to go and choose few friends who are Indians who are going to stay with me in my same flat, so that we can share on groceries, we can share on the Indian masalas and all of that, like basic things. So luckily I knew few people from before. So whenever I have like mental stress or I feel like down, I have my friends like in front of me. So I think just being with them, like people who are close to me, it really helps. But other than that, I think meditating and things like that help a bit. Just having your own kind of people is your go-to for me.
Can you tell us about your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so it was lockdown again, and I was also finding I had a lot of questions about how to go to UK, what to do, what not to do. So I was like, I wanted to do something. Like starting a YouTube channel was my dream since a very long time. But to put yourself out there on camera, it's a very big and scary thing for me. So I did my bachelor's in mass media. So because of mass media, I had a lot of skills like editing on Premiere Pro. I knew Illustrator. I knew film making and things like that. So that I have the skills for it. There is like, I have a lot of questions. So I started putting out some small videos here and there. But then I made this random video. So I gave my IELTS exam and I was really mad because that's the English language exam which was required to give. And it did not go well. So I thought I'll just make a YouTube video and I'll just rant online. But then slowly, eventually, I got 15,000 views for that video, so which was good. And then the King's video also within 6 months, I got like 11,000 views for that. So I realized that, okay, people are watching. And that's why I started making more education related content, because that's what people want. And if you see my Instagram DMs, literally, I have like hundreds of DMs right now because people have so many questions. So if I can be that person to help and give our answers, why not? So that's why my motive is.
So at this point, I let students have what I like to call a free-for-all. You can say what you want about what you like. You can say something smart. You can say something dumb. Literally, the floor is yours.
Oh my God. So I feel as an Indian, if you want to make your career, I feel like as a person, you should never be someone who follows, and also always should be a person who creates. Like, for example, if you want to work, if your dream is to work for someone, if you want to do that, it's always a replaceable skill. So for example, in college, I always, like, people used to say, I want to be a photographer, I want to be an editor. But if as a brand, if you're charging maybe 100 pounds for editing and somebody's charging like 75, it's probably going to be like you're going to be replaced. It depends. So you always should work on your mind. Your mind has the most ideas. And even if you're sitting in Peru and having margaritas, because of your mind, you should be able to earn money. So that's what you should always strive for. Always do something different, do something out of your box. So I have my own blog as well. It's called Miss Giftsy. So it's an affiliate marketing website, and through that also I've earned a bit of passive income. YouTube I've recently started, but probably I'll get monetized soon. So just small things. In my bachelor's degree, I did 10 internships. So you just always have to hustle and keep on learning, and that's when you will feel satisfied in what you're doing. That's what I feel. So please like, subscribe, comment, and I am plugged in.
Amazing. Thank you.